So we're going to focus today. We're going to start by, so karma and dharma are the two principal building blocks of Vedic yogic thought process. They're really, really very important. So without understanding dharma, you cannot, in fact, without understanding the dharma of an astrologer or a counselor, you cannot use this knowledge. Now, there are full anthologies written. There's hundreds of thousands of definitions of what dharma means. There is no English word equivalent to that, to dharma. So actually it's been adapted in the English language, same as karma, same as mantra. These words are now, you can find them in the Webster Dictionary. But for today's class, we're going to focus on some narrower definitions of dharma. And it is equanimity, balance, and wisdom. And anything that is, any action, action which is karma, that we take when it is conducive to our evolution and our highest good, that is dharma. So when we make a decision to take an action, we ask ourselves, is it conducive to our evolution? It's a complex topic again, but there's a lot you need to learn even on that, but just simply for our highest good. And that's what the hero's journey, which is part of this course, is all about. The hero makes a decision to pursue the highest good, not just what feels good in the moment or what is temporarily good for me, okay, or for my happiness. Because the thing with happiness is when happiness goes away, you're left with nothing, But really the goal of the study of all Vedic sciences is meaning, to find meaning and purpose, which supersedes our search for happiness. Happiness is very important, pleasure is very important, but we're looking for our highest good. And anything that serves the whole rather than the individual is also dharma. Even from the selfish point of view, it is dharma because we don't exist alone. One of the things we learned in the last class was that there is collective karma. So you have, the same chart that you have today, if that was playing out in Syria, it will be very different because the collective karma there is different right now. So you take the same chart and you try to play it out in Syria as opposed to the United States, it will be a different experience. So it's important to serve the whole. And anything that upholds the positive order in self, family, community, nature, and cosmos is dharma. And again, dharma is a big topic. And what we are studying in this whole 16 hours we're going to spend together is dharma. So it will get more clear as we move along. So there are many, many types of dharma. Astrology tends to focus on, in the last slide we talk about our highest good, our highest course of action, as well as Swadharma. Swa simply means self. Our Swadharma means our unique self-expression. The unique self-expression of a stone is to stay still and be hard. The unique self-expression of water is to flow. In a sense, your horoscope is your Swadharma. It is your unique self-expression in this world, okay? There are many other forms of dharma. There's, hundreds of them. Ashram dharma. Dharma that's appropriate for your age. The right action for your age group. We don't take the same action we do at 18 that we might choose at 85. So again, it's discrimination. But we're going to focus on Swadharma and the, working with our highest good when we're talking about dharma in this class. So a little story on Swadharma, so you begin to understand it. You might have heard this story before. There were two monks that were washing their bowls in water. And one of them saw a spider not a spider, but a scorpion drowning. So he put his hand in the water and he pulled out the scorpion. And the scorpion stung him and went back in the water. He went back, he pulled him out, he stung him again. So the other monk is standing next to him and saying, why are you doing this? Why are you continuing to save this scorpion when you know that it is his nature, his dharma in a way, to sting? And the monk answers back, because it is my nature to save him. So that's a little Zen parable to understand Dharma from this perspective. So you remember in the last class we talked about the Ramayana, which is the beloved epic hero story of, a billion Indians, as well as for thousands of years. It's been around a long, long time, as well as Thailand and much of South Asia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, all of these countries. This story has spread far and wide, and it is depicted and studied and learned. And so it's part of the collective consciousness of this, hundreds of billions of people. We talked about that a little bit, and it's a very interesting story. It's sort of it's Star Wars and Romeo and Juliet and all these famous epics that we know of, all into one. But there's something very unique about this story compared to all the epic stories, heroes' journeys of the Vedic Hindu tradition, in that all the characters are kind of perfect. What happens in most of the other Indian stories, even the gods, like the Greek gods, they're imperfect like us. They're flawed. But in this particular story, and I think that's why it's remained such a beloved story, all the characters are just perfect because this story, Ramayana, is, some of you may have read. I sent you a little link to read go into more detail on the story, because everybody in this story follow and make decisions based on their highest course of action, which is not true in, even with the gods in many of Hindu mythology. So this story is a really fun story to begin with when we want to understand Dharma and Karma. And so Lord Rama, who is who is a deity, he's an incarnation of Vishnu in the Hindu belief system. Every action, karma that he does, it is dharmic. It is based on Dharma. It's for the highest course. And this little picture here that you're looking at, it's really before, in every October, November, because Indian celebrations are based on the lunar calendar, when the Indian festival of Diwali, the festival of lights, is celebrated, about a month before that, an effigy of the bad guy in the story, Ravana, is burnt. There's every little town, every little city, town square will burn their own. They put firecrackers in it. I remember as a child going to see it, finding it very scary. So they make a huge giant effigy like you see in this picture, filled with firecrackers. And then it's called the Festival of Dashera. So basically this is the defeat of Ravana, the bad guy in the story. And there is that's a picture of his, of his body burning and his several heads. But what's so beautiful in this story, that even the bad guy is perfect. He's a perfect bad guy. And he's actually a very learned, he's not a louse, he's a very learned. Remember, I said in the last class as well, he studied the same things as Lord Rama, he's just using it the wrong way. So here I have a quote in which when Lord Rama finally kills the Ravana, the bad guy of the story, who actually kidnapped his beloved wife, and he kills him, Lord Rama says, "Death quells all enmity. We have achieved our purpose." He's talking actually to Ravana's brother, and he's saying, "Perform Ravana's rites with honor, for he is as dear to me as he is to you." So that's kind of the perfect hero Lord Rama is in that story. And this epic story is deep in the consciousness of all of South Asia. And you can see how a story like that lives within us has the power to change our karma. That's what the stories and the myths that we follow have that potential to help us, change the course of action we might take. So what makes all the characters in this story so perfect? Lord Rama is the perfect son, the perfect masculine energy. Sita, his wife, is the perfect feminine, representing the feminine energy, the moon. And they're, in essence, they're one person, but here they're depicted in metaphorically as two people. Lord Rama's brother is perfect. His brothers are perfect. The brother who inherits the throne because Lord Rama gets kicked out, he's such a good guy too. He doesn't, instead of saying, well, he's going to be gone for 14 years, so I better run the kingdom, he goes to find him in the forest and he says, come back. And when Lord Rama refuses, because he's so perfect, because he made a vow, his brothers, one of his brothers stays with him, participates in this 14-year exile, and the other brother actually goes and puts his slippers on the throne and never actually rules the kingdom, only in proxy. So everybody is so perfect in this story. Unlike all the other stories and myths of the Indian culture that, and even in the stories we watch today, Star Wars, and the heroes have some flaws. But so what makes them perfect? What makes them perfect is that none of them, they're all devoid of identifying with the body consciousness, the ego consciousness, or even the mind consciousness. The body consciousness identifies with the body, the ego. The mind consciousness identifies with result-oriented action, which means it's attached to the results of what will happen. As if Lord Rama's brother was identified with mind consciousness, probably that's what I would have chosen. I said, well, it's happened. He's gone for 14 years. Somebody needs to run this kingdom. I'm going to run it. I'll give it back to him when he comes back. But he's so pure. He identifies with the soul, the higher self, that he does not accept the throne even for the 14 years while his brother has been exiled. So, because remember, the soul transcends time, space. So karma the more we identify with the soul, which is what the hero's journey is, the hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than oneself, something meaningful. And remember, bigger than yourself doesn't have to be a podcast or anything great. It can be taking care of your children. That can be a hero's journey. So we don't want to make it anything grand or big. It is just something that you're committed to, something that brings meaning to your life, where sacrifice becomes natural, and it doesn't make life easier. It just makes life more meaningful. And okay, so again, the question that was asked in the last, from the last class was about modifying karma. So we modify karma by practicing Dharma. And here are some rules for practicing Dharma. First, be present. Bring your senses, emotions, and mind under control. And that includes, through diet, through lifestyle. Because most of the time, you and me, our mind is all over the place and we don't always make the right decisions, the right choices. Then decide on the highest course of action that you're capable of and keep your awareness on it. Finally, let go of the outcome. So what that means is oftentimes people will make a decision that they're going to take the highest course of action, make a certain sacrifice, but that doesn't guarantee success. Okay, so let's keep going. We were talking about modifying karma by practicing Dharma. And you modify karma actually by practicing Vedic astrology, because what it does, it brings you into the present. Instead of flailing around, it gives you a path in life. So instead of, flailing around and counting on, just seeing 2 feet in front of you and 2 feet behind you, you get to see a whole life path. And that allows the senses and emotions to calm down. And that allows us to be more present. And that allows us then to take the highest course of action. And once you understand karma, you also learn to let go of the outcome. So really the work we are doing in this course and the work you do with me, those of you who work with me on a regular basis, we are modifying karma to the extent that it's possible by practicing Dharma. So remember, the present is the result of our past choices and our past action, even past life, if you believe in that, or even our childhood. But the future is the result of our present choices. So it is always possible. There would be no point in doing this practice if there was no free will. So Dharma is the hero's journey. The question, when people ask the question, can you modify karma? There's a supposition there that we want to modify karma. What's going to be so interesting is once you study Vedic astrology, is that at the towards the end of your studies, there isn't even a desire to modify karma, because confronting our karma is called taking responsibility. When we confront our karma voluntarily, that's the planet Saturn, in pursuit of something meaningful, that is Jupiter. That is the hero's journey, and that is how we modify our karma. So let the journey begin. This is a beautiful quote from Krishnamurti, who was a philosopher and a great Vedic scholar of the last century. And he says, the more you know yourself, the more clarity there is. Self-knowledge has no end. You don't come to an achievement in self-knowledge. You don't come to a conclusion. It's like an endless river.